Hi, good evening once again. My name is Rexford. I'm an ICEP certified QA engineer and a mentor here at Blue Sky Citadel. Tonight, I'll be taking you guys on introduction to software testing. Just like I mentioned earlier, this plays it's a very crucial topic. So I'd advise each and every one of you to pay attention, stay away from anything that is going to be a sort of distraction. And please put any questions you have in the chat, or you can jot them down and you can ask at the end of the lesson. So these are the topics we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at the background, we'll be looking at testing, we'll be looking at quality, we'll be looking at software testing, we'll be looking at the role of a tester, we'll be looking at principles of testing, and we'll just have a quick overview of software development lifecycle. So just a background. So this is something I just put up. If you were buying a new car, you would not expect to take delivery from the showroom with a scratch on the vehicle, okay? Because you are buying a brand new car, you expect everything to be brand new. You also expect the car should have wheels, it should have a steering wheel, it should have an engine and all other essential components, okay? You would also expect this car to come with appropriate documentation, all right, with all pre-sales checks completely and what that has passed, satisfactory and everything. Okay. You would also you should receive, the car in good condition, basically. You should have the correct size engine that was prescribed on or that was described on the website. You should have the mileage, everything is said it was on the website. But just imagine you receive this new car and this car doesn't meet any of the description that is stated on the website or when you went to the showroom to buy the car. You would be very upset because you had something you wanted. You had a desire you wanted. And at the end of the day, when you got that, it wasn't what you wanted. And I'm very sure you will be upset. Tonight, we are not going to talk about cars. We are not going to showrooms to buy cars, but this is just an overview of what or a background of how testing is and how software testing is. So we'll be looking at when software testing began. Okay, we will dive into testing. We will dive into software testing, the introduction of software testing. But before we do that, I just want to give an overview when this testing began. How did it come about? So software testing began in the 1950s as a simple debugging process. I'm very sure most of you will not be familiar with the term debugging, but as time goes on, when you dive deep into this, you understand what debugging is. But in a layman terms, debugging is simply troubleshooting, trying to find the root cause of an error or trying to find the root cause of why your test is failing. Okay, that is what debugging is meant. So in 1960s and the 1970s, structured testing emerged with something we call waterfall model. Okay, this waterfall model is also something you're going to look at later on, but this is just like a quick introductory of it. So establishing testing as a distinct phase. All right. So by 1980s, quality assurance was introduced as well, which that is what you guys will be doing mostly. Quality assurance. You guys, every one of you on the call tonight is a quality assurance software tester, a quality assurance engineer. All right. Software testing is all about quality assurance, ensuring the end user, ensuring your clients that you are developing something which is quality. That is why you guys are called QAs, quality assurance. All right. So this quality assurance was introduced and it was focused on meeting customer needs and quality throughout the software life cycle. So from the beginning of when the software is being developed to the time is being completed, QAs are to ensure the quality of this. All right. So we have we have manual testing and we have automation testing. So automated testing tools also arrived in the late 90s to handle growing software complexity, because sometimes it's not everything that you can test manually. Sometimes you might need to test automatically. So due to sometimes the complexity of the application and all of that. So this is when in the 1990s, that is when software automation came about. So we have something called Agile and DevOps, which you guys will be doing here as well. That was emerged in the 2000s. So it kind of became like DevOps is simply continuous integration, continuous development with other team members, just like you guys have on here. You have the Scrum Masters, you have the business analysts, you have the developers you are working with. You guys are working in an agile environment, and you know about, agile is all about continuous improvement, delivering faster and all of that. So this is just like a quick overview of when software testing began. It has evolved over time. As you can see, it started with manual, then automation, then agile and DevOps. All right. So what can be tested? All right. We've mentioned about testing. All right. So what can be tested? We do have anything can be tested. When we come to our day in and day out activities, our daily activities, we humans are all testers in a way, and we do test almost everything, sometimes even without knowing. All right. So I'll give you an example. When we wake up in the morning, when we are about to leave the house for work, most of the time, the first thing we do is to go to the bathhouse, to brush our teeth, to get ready. Basic human, routines in the morning. And especially in these cold times, in this cold weather, when you open the tap, you tend to use the hot water. But before you use this hot water, you sort of put your hand under the flowing tap to ensure that, okay, this hot water, is it cold? Is it coming out as hot water, or is it coming as cold water? Is it also too hot that is gonna burn my hands, or is it lukewarm that is okay for me? What are you doing in this process? You are testing. You are testing to ensure that, okay, this hot water that is coming out of the tap is of good temperature, which suits your skin, which suits your hand or your mouth, because you wouldn't want to put anything that is hot into your mouth. Okay. So you're in that process, in that instance, you are testing. Same also applies to when you're about to eat. When you're about to eat, for instance, if your food is hot, or even when you're about to feed a baby, those of you who have kids, when the food is hot, you sort of blow them, you sort of like, try to get it cold, or lukewarm by blowing it, then before you do that, you test it a little bit before you put it in your mouth. All this thing is testing. All right. So you are testing the hot water, you are testing the food. But in our world, in the main reason why we are here and what we'll be doing is obviously software testing, but also what can be tested. So hardware can be tested in the computing world. Hardware can be tested, and softwares can also be tested. But someone will say, okay, what is hardware? All right. Hardware simply refers to the physical components of a computer system or any electronic device, unlike softwares, which consist of programs and applications. All right. So hardware includes all tangible, mechanical, and electronic parts of the system that you can physically touch and interact with. So I'll give you an example of a hardware. Hardware, keyboard, mouse, microphone, scanner, monitor. All these things are hardware. So something you can touch and interact with. All right. Here comes the big deal, the big guy, software. What you guys will be testing here. All right. So software is, and what is this software? Okay, so let's say at the start of the internship or at the start of this program, Most of you have heard software, software testing, software. What is this software? Okay, so software is just a set of instructions, all right? Data or programs used to operate computer and to execute specific tasks. All right. So software is just instructions of data or programs used to operate computers and execute specific tasks. So unlike the hardware, which you are able to touch and hold, you're able to hold your monitor, your scanner, your mouse, keyboard, whatever. But with software, you can touch it. All right. So it's a program. It's something that is a program that is in a computer, a mobile phone, whatever you can think of, a tablet. All right. So, what is an example of like a software? All right. So we do have applications, we do have programming softwares, we do have system softwares. All these are type of softwares. And I mean, with application softwares, we know most of them. We use them in our daily lives, our day-to-day life, Facebook, Instagram, all these things, they are, software applications. Okay. So these are some of the things that can be tested in the computing world, in the IT world, hardwares, softwares can be tested. But here, our main focus is on software testing. So I've explained what software is. Now I want to go into testing. All right. So the word comes software testing. So now I've explained what can be tested, and I said hardwares can be tested, software can be tested. I've explained what software is. I've given you an example of what software is. So now I'm taking you into testing. So as we go on, I'm going to bring these two words together. So I'm going to bring software and testing together. Okay. So what is testing? I mean, testing is pretty much self-explanatory. Testing is just to ensure that, okay, this is working as expected. Just like I gave some real life scenarios earlier on, it's just to ensure that something is working as expected. But here, we will be testing something and we will be testing a software. Okay. So why are we testing the software? So we are testing because, or what testing does, it helps to identify the defects and provide quality products to end users. All right. So we are testing because this testing we are going to test will help to identify defects and provide quality product to end users. I'll dive deep. I'll go deep into this. I'll dive very deep into this, but this is just like a bullet point of testing. All right. I'll go deep into what defect is. Defect is simply something that is preventing the is like your software from functioning as expected. All right. So I'll dive deep into that one later on. We test also because testing will happen from development to delivery to the end user. All right. The whole purpose of developing a software or an application is to deliver it to the end user. So I'll give you an example. Facebook, for instance, they do have, or even, okay, let me just use what we have here in Blue Sky Citadel. Most of you had when you registered on this program, you did register on a website, which is the Blue Sky Citadel website. Okay. So this website, before it got to the web or before you had an access to it, it had to be developed. All right. So from development, developers having to write their code to it being delivered, it being getting on the web, there in between this, there was testing, there was thorough testing done, different type of testing that went through this. You would only go on the website, click on enter the URL, click on register, do this, blah, blah, blah. Everything is working as expected for you. But before this was working, or before this met business requirement, before it became easy, user friendly for you, it was tested. Testers had to ensure that this website is working as expected. When a user go on there, when they click on register, it will take them to the registration page. When they click on this, it will take them to that. There's that. You understand? So testing happens from development to delivery, and this delivery is to the end user. So the next one is the product application system will be used in customer point of view in all positive and negative perception. All right. So some customers can be, for instance, when you go to where you had to enter your card details or whatever, you did put in your right card details. You had to put the expiry date, you had to put the CVC digit and all of that. All right. What happens if you put a wrong card details and you put a wrong date, a wrong blah, 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 and you are still able to pay with that? Where would the money be deducted to go to the business? All right. So testers have to test this thing, like this negative perception, positive perception. Okay, if this goes wrong, if I click this, I'm expecting this. What if I click this and it does this, So with testing, you test both the positive and the negative perception of it. All right. And this testing will be done by testers, obviously. Okay. That is why you guys are here, to get the skills, to get the knowledge about testing so that you can go out there and become like professional testers. All right. So testing is done by testers. Just like I mentioned earlier on in my previous slide, I did mention about defect, which I said it could be an error in the code or a bug in the code that will let the software function as it should not be. All right. So defect is simply an undesirable state. So something undesirable is something you don't want, an undesirable state. If you desire something, it means you want it. But if something is undesirable, then it means you don't want it. And a defect is an undesirable state, because if we find a defect in an application, that is not what we want the application to do. So it's an undesirable state. And what is this undesirable state? Okay. It means that this application is not meeting requirements. Because before an application or a software will be developed, they need to write requirements. That is what your BAs on this platform does. We have business analysts. They have to write requirements. They have to gather requirements, okay, from the business, from the product owner. So, and as a tester, before you test, you have to ensure that you are testing based on this requirement. So if you are testing and the testing is not meeting this requirement, it means that you will find a defect in there. And that is when this defect, we did mention that it's an undesirable state. Okay, so another one is the variance from desired attribute. All right, so this is defect, and we said defect is an undesirable state. So the undesirable state falls under not meeting requirements, variance in desired attributes, and so on. We've been mentioning about testing. We'll be testing software. Okay. The whole purpose of this comes down to quality. All right. Because we want to ensure that the application or the software is quality. And when we say something is quality, I mean, in a layman term, quality is something that is good, that can last for long. These are some of the attributes, or I would say, of what quality is. When we say something is quality, it means it's good, it can last long. you know. So the whole purpose, the whole reason why we are testing comes down to quality. Okay. So this quality can in software testing or in testing that we are doing, we will define this quality as meeting the customer's requirement for the first time and every time. What does this mean? The customer or the end user, a customer is someone, let's say a PO has got, or me personally here, me Rexford, I've got an application I want to develop. I come to, I go to a software development company that this is a software I want to develop. This is how I want it to function. And this is the needs of my end users. Because when I develop this software, end users are going to use it. All right. So I'll give you, I'll go back to Blue Sky Citadel website. All right. So Blue Sky Citadel website is a website where you can register for courses. All right. And most of you guys on here did register for software testing course. All right. So that's the requirement for a user to be able to go on the website to register for software development, software testing program or course or internship. But imagine if you go on this website and you try to register and you are not able to register, or you are trying to register for a software testing course and it's redirecting you to registering a BA course for you. You will be fuming. I know how it is for when an application is messing up, you will be fuming because you want to get it done and it's doing something different. There is no quality in there. It has not met the customer's requirement because the customer's requirement is for this specific feature to be able to register for software testing course. But you are registering for software testing course, or you've registered for software course, and it has given you a BA call. That is not what you wanted. That is not what you expected it to be. So there is no quality in here. Quality is much more than the absence of defects. All right. Reliability, efficiency, easy to use within budget. Another thing here is, fair enough, the customer wants the application or the software to be able to register for software testing courses, BA courses, and all of that. We also want this thing or this software to be reliable. Anytime a user goes online to type www. Or they enter the URL, they want to see this application or software working as expected, the efficiency of it. When immediately you go, you want to register, you click on registration, immediately it will take you to the registration page. You will be able to enter your forms, everything. That's the efficiency of it. It's not that when you click on registration, it will be loading, and it will take like 5 minutes to load just a registration page. It can be frustrating. It can be very frustrating. And you also want it to be easy to use. Everyone wants their software to be easy to use. You go on the website, you enter whatever you want to do. Very easy to use, very user-friendly. Okay. And we also want it to be within budget. We all know, even in our day-to-day lives, when we want to buy something, when we see, sometimes we wait for Black Fridays. We humans, we are always like, we want to stay within our budget. And when it comes to developing a software, we look at all these. Okay, we look at absence of defects, we look at the reliability, we look at the efficiency, how easy to use it, and also within budget. So when we develop a software and it falls, we have all these, qualities we have listed here. We have all these things we have listed here. We can classify this software as quality. Okay. So You as testers, your job is to ensure the quality. Your job is to ensure that there's absence of defect. Yours is to ensure that is there is reliability, is efficient, it is easy to use, and also within the budget. Within the budget, mostly by the business, but as a QA, you can also help an application to fall within a budget by starting, by early testing, by being able to find defects. Because imagine you develop the application, you've deployed it, then you find bugs in production, you will have to start, you have to fix this, and this will bring extra cost and all of that. All right. We have something called shift left testing, early testing. We will go into that. Okay, so also the producer's view. Okay, so quality of the product meets requirement. I can't emphasize enough of this. Requirements. You got testing is before you start testing or before a software is developed, there's requirements that has been written down. All right. So you testing, you ensuring quality in this, it will be based on the requirement. It has to meet the requirement. Whatever has been written in that requirement, it has to meet that requirement. That is why you guys have sprint planning. I'm very sure you've had a few sprint plannings. You go through the requirement, you go through the acceptance criteria, you go through what the BA has defined for that feature. That is when you guys will come in. This thing you are asking for, is there a gap in between it? Can it be developed? Oh, you said we should, okay, this is a login feature. We are logging into our application. You said we should enter username. We should enter password. Then you said we should log in. What is the steps? Okay, I enter my username, I enter my password, and then the user logs in. How can I enter my password and how can I enter my username and enter a password and log in? Do I have to click on something? Is there a button I can click and log in? Is there a button I can click and log in? Or do I just log in by just entering my password and my username? So this you have to ensure that these requirements are met. You have to ensure that these requirements are met. You have to ensure that these things are defined, you know. Also, customers' view. So quality of the product, fit to use, meet customers' needs. At the end of the day, you are developing, or you are this application is being developed for end users. All right. You are not developing this application or software to keep it on your laptop or to keep it in the cloud somewhere. You are developing it for customers. So you always have to put these things into consideration. So why quality? Okay, I've mentioned testing having to come down to quality. All right. So now we want to look at why this quality. Why does the software have to be quality? All right. So quality is the important factor affecting an organizational long-term performance. All right. So imagine if you always go on, maybe you want to buy something on Amazon. I mean, we have different e-commerce websites. All right, you have Amazon, you have like Argos, you have all of that. But imagine if you always go on Amazon, and anytime you go on Amazon, you try to buy something, you put it in the cart, then it will freeze. You are not able to purchase it. You do that, you go on their website like 3 to 4 times, and it always happens like that. Would you want to go on the website? You wouldn't want, because you'll be like, what is the purpose of going in? You'll find another alternative. So if there is no quality in the software or the application that is being developed, it affects the organization's long-term performance. This will affect their sales. It will affect the revenue they are going to get. It will affect their profit, everything. All right. That is why we want to ensure quality. And quality improves productivity and competitiveness in any organization. Just like I mentioned, if we have just one e-commerce website like Amazon that has got a best website, you just go, you're able to buy something. It's easy. You go on there, you get your item is being developed, is being delivered to you. You always want to go there because you know that's one of the best websites you can go to, and when you purchase something immediately you get it. But imagine you have other ones, you have like maybe Argos, you have all these other e-commerce websites that okay, immediately I go there, I buy something, I'm able to get it. There's going to be competition because all these websites or all these sites, application, e-commerce websites you go to, they are working as expected. There's quality in it. The application don't lag, it doesn't freeze. So when there's quality, it improves productivity. You have more users to come on your website. It also improves competitiveness. Just like I mentioned, other e-commerce websites as well, people will go on there. So people will try to, improve. People will do things like sales. They will always try to improve their website and, stuff like that. So there's competition. So how do you achieve this quality we are talking about? Okay, I mean, I've mentioned quality, I've mentioned why quality. Now, how you achieve quality? So right the first time. If anything is done perfectly in the first time itself, then we can say that quality is achieved. Just like I mentioned, you go on a website, you want to buy something. The first time you go on the website, you just type what you're looking for. It comes up, you make the payment, it goes through. Very easy to use. It gives you that first time impression. Oh, this you want to go back. You want to go back, you know. So, right, that is why you need the tester to test all this prior to production so that the first time a user goes there, the first time an end user goes there, they use it. They know that this thing is good. I would like to go again. Also effectiveness, doing the things right. As as a QA, you have to do things right. You have to do things effective. You know, you have to do things efficiently, doing the things right. Doing it you are testing effectively. It's not that you test maybe a feature or you just click on something and you're like, oh, this is working as expected. So the next option should also work as expected. No. So you achieve quality by doing it the first time, by also doing it effectively and efficiently. When it comes to testing, or quality testing, we have verification and validation. Okay. So I'm going to go into what verification and what validation is. But when it comes to testing, you ensure the quality of the testing. And ensuring this quality of the testing comes down to verification and validation. So verification is the process of checking whether the software meets the specified requirement and is being developed correctly. Okay, so it answers the question, are we building the product right? So I'll give you an example of this verification. You guys do this during your sprint planning. You do it during refinement, before the application is being developed. you check that are we building this product right? Okay, you the BA or the requirement says that we have to log in. You said we should enter username, we should enter password, and then we will be logged in. What do we have to do before we log in? It has to be step by step. You don't need to miss a gap. So that is why you have in Agile, you have sprint planning and you go through this verification process. All right. So the purpose of this verification process is to ensure that the product design and the development process align with the requirements set by the stakeholders. Can you guys see that this is coming together? I've mentioned requirements so many times. Who gives this requirement? This requirement is given by the stakeholders. Stakeholders are people or someone who wants a software to be or an application to be developed for them. They are stakeholders. And these stakeholders, they will have a PO, or sometimes the stakeholder himself or herself will be the PO, the product owner. They own the product. They will give you requirements. All right. So when they give the requirements, they will tell the BAs what they want. The BAs will break down these requirements. They will break it down. And these requirements will be, you guys will have sprint planning. BA says we should do this. Okay. The QA, you have to ensure that this thing that they said we have to do, is it meeting the requirement that has been set by the stakeholders? And sometimes even these BAs or stakeholders can give requirements and they will have gaps in there. Gaps are just loops in between requirements. You want us to do this, we have to go step by step. You've missed this step, So the purpose of verification is to ensure that the development process aligns with the requirements set by the stakeholders, what the PO has asked the team to do, what the BAs have written down. All right. So the focus of this is verification focuses on the internal process, such as reviews, inspection, static testing, to catch issues early in the development life cycle. So when you guys have your sprint planning, you have requirements that has been written down, but the application hasn't been developed yet. Okay. But it is being written down. This is what we want to develop. So verification is just in the early stages. All right. This has got its benefit. It helps save cost, it helps early development and all of that, because we are in this verification process, we are able to find the bugs early, or the defect, or the gaps, or the errors. Let me use the layman word, the errors or error. We are able to find this early in the life in the life cycle, which is during the sprint planning. But there are also other type of verification processes, which is requirement review, which you guys do. You are checking if the requirements are clear, they are complete, they are feasible. Okay, you said a user should be able to log in. Is the user able to log in? Should the user log in with their email? Should they log in with their username? You know, what do you want the user to log in with? You want the user to enter their password. Do you want the password test field to just accept numbers? Do you want it to just accept alphabet? Do you want it to have special characters? You are checking this. Is it clear? Is it complete? Is it visible? This thing that you've written, can we be able to develop it? Design reviews. So in this case, you are accessing the design documents to see if they meet specific requirement. So in a case, I'll give an example like a wireframe. The BA has stated that the logo has to be on the top left corner, but in the wireframe, in the design, you can see the logo in the center. Sometimes you will have a UI UX designer who design the skeletal frame of the website, and you can see the logo. They've defined in the requirement. Logo has to be on the left, but logo is in the middle. These design reviews, you are assessing this. Does it meet requirements? Code reviews and walkthrough, reviewing code for quality adherence to standards and logical accuracy. Today, for instance, I was testing during work, I was testing, and what I was expecting, it wasn't meeting expected result. So I had to call the developer to tell the developer this is not meeting requirement. Okay, he said, okay, can we jump on a call? We jumped on the call, and he opened his code, code reviews, what the code is expected to do. He's written his code. He said if the code gets here, the code should do this, the code should do that, So we are having a code review, and most of the time, these code reviews are done early in the life cycle as well. Can be done, through when you write your code, you have like your senior dev or whoever to go through these code reviews. You have walkthroughs. There is something you call a colleague. I'm trying to this has been defined. I don't understand this. Can you take me through? you know, can, the person is walking you through this requirement, this specific requirement. This verification process is done in the early stages. Is done in the early stages. We have something called static analysis as well. So you are analyzing the code, often without automation tool or without executing it. As a QA, sometimes you have, as time goes on with experience, or those of you who have experience who can understand code, you can go into the code that is being developed by the developer. You can go through the code to try to understand the code. Oh, okay, this is what it says it should do. This is what it's saying it should do. Is it this? Is it that? And developers will love you. They'll work closely with you if you're able to bring out issues early. Like, give them, oh, this is this, you are doing this. I think we can do this. I think we can do it this way. What's your opinion on this? What's your idea on this? So this is an interview question, verification and validation. So please take note of it. If you even want to jot it down, jot it down. But what you have to put in your head, or what you have to understand, is verification is done early in the development life cycle. Always use your sprint planning as an example, your sprint refinement. That is verification. So what is validation? All right. So I hope we are still on the same track. We are all on the same track. We did talk about quality. All right. We said we test because we want quality in our application that we are developed. And this quality brought us down to, we said, okay, how can this quality be achieved? How can we test this quality? And we said we can achieve this quality by doing a verification or a validation. And we said what? The verification is in the early stages of the development cycle, when the application hasn't been developed. But through requirements, sprint planning, we are going through the requirement walkthroughs. You just call a colleague, you know what, I don't understand this. Can you take me through? It's the early stages. And now we are about to look at validation. All right. So what is validation? Validation is the product of the process of evaluating whether the final software product meets the user's needs and expectation. It answers the question, are we building the right product? So we said, well, I mentioned that verification is what? The process of checking that we meet requirements, we meet the specified requirement. But here, validation is saying that It's the process of evaluating whether the final software product meets the user's needs and expectation. It says what? The final software product. So in this case, the product has been developed. We do have different type of environments. We have unit test environment. We have tester environment. We have UAT environment, and we have production environment. Okay. So this validation, the software has been developed. Okay. But it's not in production. It's not yet out there for the end users to see. Let's say it's in the test environment, but it has been developed. Okay, now we have the registration page. Now we have that login page that we are talking about. The one that we wrote on the paper, the one that we wrote on the Azure DevOps, the one that we wrote on the feature. We have it. It's been developed. It's come to reality. All right. So now you want to test it on the application. You want to test it on you want to test the software that has been developed. You are validating it. All right. So you go, either you doing it manually or you using automation tools, you are validating it. All right. You go on the application, you enter the developer or will give you the URL, the endpoint. You put this in the browser. Okay. You see the application come to life. You click on registration. Okay, I've clicked on registration. What am I seeing? What comes up when I click on registration? I've clicked on registration, but it's taking me to checkout page. It's giving me it's bringing up a login page. I've clicked on registration page. I'm expecting registration page or a form for registration to come out. Is this what was defined in the requirement? In the requirement, we said, okay, we want to click a registration page. When we click on registration page, we want a registration form to come up. We've defined in the requirement. We want the logo of the organization to be at the top left corner. But this has been developed. Now we have the logo in the middle. We have the logo somewhere. We have it at the left, the down left button. Was this what was defined in the requirement? So you are validating it. You are having it. You can see it, in action. So what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to ensure that the product functions as intended in real world context, in the real world. Because this software, this application that is being developed, we are taking it to the real world. So does it function as intended in the real world and fulfills the requirement of the end user? End user have to go on this application to register for a software testing course. When they go on the application or they go on the software, are they able to register for this? I am doing it. Now you, the tester, you are doing it. You have something called test data. You are using a test data to test this. You are stimulating what will happen in the real world because you want to ensure that this is working before it gets to the real world. All right. So this focuses on, dynamic testing, which involves executing the code to validate its functionality. Now the requirement has been written. The developer has written a code using a programming language to develop this. Now you have it on your monitor, you have it on your screen. It has come to life. You want to validate that. You have to do a dynamic test. We'll go into different type of testing. It's going to be another day, right? We'll go through what dynamic testing is. We'll go through all this. But you are using the strategy called dynamic testing to ensure that the code, the code that has been, built, the code that has now become a software, is it working as expected? Is it you are validating the functionality, how it's functioning? Then this takes you to the activities. All right. So functional, we have, these are the type of testing you can do: functional testing, user acceptance testing, integration testing, system testing. Okay. So when it comes to dynamic testing, you are testing the functionality of of the application. You are testing the features and the functionality to work to see is working as expected. We have something called user acceptance testing. Usually is done, it's pretty much explanatory. It's an acceptance testing. All right. We are accepting is a testing that is to say, okay, we've accepted this thing that has been developed. And it is conducted by the end users or the client to validate that the software meets business needs. We have integration testing, verifying that different components work together as intended. All right. So, okay, we have an application. First of all, you have to register on this application. When you register, you will have an account. You will log into your account. When you log into your account, you will search for a course called software testing. After you do this, after you search for the course, you want to purchase this course or you want to register for this course called software testing. All these are different components. Registration is a different component. Login is a different component. Having to sign up searching for software testing itself is a different component. So at the end of the day, you want to do an integration testing to ensure that all these components are working together as intended. All right. You have system testing. All right. So system testing is the complete testing in an environment that stimulates the real world. So system testing, you are testing the system from A to Z. Everything is working. This is how it's going to work in the real world. So you are stimulating this, that it works as expected. So guys, when it comes to quality testing, which we said it is verification and validation, two things I want you guys to take here. Verification is in the early stages, verifying the requirements. There are no gaps. It's clear, it's not ambiguous, it can be developed. Then validation, now this has been developed. So we go on the website to validate it. So this takes us to quality control. Okay. So we are still focusing on quality. And I hope you guys understand why we are focusing so much on quality. Because even the title of your job is a quality assurance engineer. All right. So we focus on quality. We said why quality testing, the type of quality testing you can do. Now we go into quality control. So quality control measures the quality of the product. And the quality of the product is most of the time validation, to validate it. The end product, this has been built. We want to measure, okay, we said we want to build this application. We've written down requirements. We've done everything. Now the application has been developed. So we want the quality control of this application. How do we do that? We do that by validating, because we said verification is when we write requirements or when we go through the requirement that has been written, and validation is the process of evaluating the final product to check whether it meets the business need. So here we are checking the quality control of this. All right, that it meets business needs. Business said we want this. It doesn't meet business specifics. Here we are checking the quality control of the application. Okay, we can check the quality control during the verification, but what if we check it during the verification and now it's been developed and it doesn't meet business needs? That is why we have to check this quality control during the validation process or the validation state when the software has been developed. So quality control makes sure that we developed the right product. And you can only check that the right product has been developed at the validation stage when the product has been developed, obviously. So it makes sure that we've developed the right product. You can't do this at verification stage. You only do this at the validation stage when when the product has been developed. It is also product oriented. So it helps us, it's also defect detection based. During this quality control process, during this validation process, we are able to detect bugs. Okay, you said I should log in. I have logged in, but it's not logging me in. I've entered the right password. Oh, okay, I'm able to log in without password. I'm able to log into my account by just entering my email. A defect has been found. You don't have to do that. That's not how we define the application to work. That's not how the requirement was written. You know, that was not how the requirement was defined. And this will happen after the development. So just like I mentioned, we are able to tell this after the development at the validation stage. So that's quality control. We are now diving into the software testing, you know, we are taking it step by step, but we are now diving into, the software testing. All right. Understanding the software testing, our main focus. So now I've listed some software quality factors. Okay. So when there is quality in the software, we expect the correctness of the software, we expect the reliability of the software, we expect the functionality of the software, the efficiency, the maintainability, the reusability, compatibility, effectiveness, testability, interoperability, the integrity, flexibility, and the usability. These are the factors we consider to ensure that a software is quality. But we have some critical success factors, as you can see, from the correctness to the testability of it. That is the critical success factors that a software, should have. These, when the software have, you know that, okay, this is the quality. This software is quality. These are the factors that makes a software quality, correctness, reliability, functionality, efficiency, maintainability, reusability, compatibility, the effectiveness. It's testable. We can test this software. These are the critical, success factors. All right. So now I started off, with testing, what can be tested, why testing. We spoke about the quality. We emphasize a lot on the quality. All right. We did mention what can be tested. We said hardware and software can be tested. We spoke about the testing and all of that. So now we've come to the bigger picture. We've come to software testing. We are software testers. We are QAs, quality assurance testers. So now this is the bigger picture, software testing. So what is software testing? So I remember I told you I was going to bring the two words together, which is software and testing. Now I've brought these two words together. So software testing is a planned process that is used to identify the correctness, completeness, security, and quality of software. I'm going to repeat it again. Software testing is the planned process that is used to identify the correctness and the completeness, the security and quality of software. So if someone, tomorrow you go out there, you tell someone, oh yeah, I'm a software tester. Oh, okay. So what is software testing? You tell them is the process that is used to identify the correctness, the completeness, and the security and the quality of the software. quality assurance tester. Have you guys noticed the number of times I've mentioned quality here? So software testing is a process, or it's also a process of evaluating a system, all right, by manual or tool means, to verify that this meets requirements, or you want to know the difference between the expected and the actual results. All right. So we've explained what software testing is. We said is the process, is a planned process that is used to identify the correctness and completeness, also the security and the quality of a software. Now we've also we are saying that software testing, how can we achieve this software testing? We can achieve it by evaluating a system, all right, but by either doing it manually or by tool means, to ensure that these applications meet requirements. We are going to learn both here. You are going to learn automation testing. You are going to use a programming language to learn it. We are not there yet. At the moment, we are focusing on the manual part because you have to get a better understanding, a better grasp of the manual before you can go into automation. All right. So when doing testing, it did give another point which says that it satisfies, specified requirement or identify the differences between expected and actual results. So I'm a QA, I'm a tester. I'm about to test a login page. What am I expecting? I'm expecting that when I enter my username, I enter my password, I click on login button, I should be able to log into my account. That is the expected result. That is what I'm expecting. And you have actual results. Okay, when I entered my username, when I entered my password, and I clicked on login, what happened? That is the actual. In the instance, at that minute, that is the actual results that is happening. So the expected results is for you to be able to log in. But while testing, what results did you get? Were you able to log in? Yes. Okay, I entered my username, I entered my password, I clicked on login. I was able to log in. So the expected and the actual results are matching. So that's a pass. Your test has passed over there. But what if you enter your username, you enter your password, you click on login, and the login button is not working? At the moment, that the actual result is that the login button is not working. So it didn't meet the expected results. And because of that, there is a defect or there is a bug or there's an error over there. It didn't meet the requirement that was defined. I hope I'm making. If you guys are on the same page with me, can you put one in the chat? If you guys really are on the same page and understand where we are heading to, can you guys put one in the chat? I can. Okay, you guys on. Okay, I can see. So that is software testing, to identify the difference between the expected and the actual results. Let's move on. Guys, jot your questions, any questions you have, or just put them in the chat for later. All right. So why software testing? Why? We said software testing. So now, why software testing? Why do we have to test this software? To check the reliability of the software. We want to check that this software is reliable. When I go on Blue Sky Citadel website and I register for a course and I save my and I save my bank details or I save my card details there, is it reliable? Can anyone hack this website to get, or even if I don't save my card details and I just used my card on this website, it's my card safe, it's my bank card safe, it's my card details safe. Is You want to check, we test to check the imagine you anytime you make a payment or you use your bank card online, you can have some hacker somewhere, or when a next customer goes on their website or the application, they will see your bank card details. Is this reliable? Would you want to go on such a website? Would you want to go on a website when you purchase something? After that, people can have access to your bank card and to tamper with your hard-earned money? No. That is why we test. We also test, to be ensured that the software does not contain any bug which can become a reason for failure. I can't emphasize enough of this. I mean, I've been focusing more on the e-commerce, buying something, login. Let me switch to an application that is used to check blood pressure, an application that is used to check sugar level. This application has been developed. You check your blood pressure. Your blood pressure is above than normal, but this application or software or whatever you are using to check your blood pressure is telling you that your blood pressure is okay. It's on a normal level. You are good. Meanwhile, in reality, your blood pressure or whatever, your sugar level is higher than normal, and you need an immediate you need to be rushed to the emergency. You need an immediate treatment. You can imagine it can cost life. So we have to test this thing to ensure that there is no bug or there is no reason for failure. We also have to check that the software was made according to its specification. Imagine a stakeholder has paid hundreds of pounds, has paid millions. Sometimes some of the application, we in my organization, we recently switched to a new HR system, and this was worth, it was £1 million project. So imagine a stakeholder has given this money to a software development company to develop their software. And at the end of the day, they come, our software is ready. And they demo the software to them and it doesn't meet requirements. You can imagine what this will bring about. That is why we test this software to ensure that it meets requirements. To also check that users are capable of using the software, which each of these points I've listed here is important. But one of the ones that are more important is to ensure that end users are capable of using the software. Who is the end user? You were the end user who went on Blue Sky Citadel to register for software testing course. When you went there, you guys were able to register the course. And that is why you guys are here. Imagine you went there and you were not able to register. You wouldn't be here. And the business would also not, we won't have you guys here. And the business paid for the development company, or the business paid the developers to develop the software to do this. And at the end of the day, end user is not able to use it. What's the point? It's like buying a car and not driving it, buying a dress and not wearing it. What's the point? We test, the reason for software testing is to check that softwares work with other softwares and hardwares in need to work with. I'll give you an example. Some of you paid, once you were registering, some of you paid with Klarna. Klarna is a different software. Klarna is not a software for Blue Sky Citadel. It's a different software, but you guys there were testers who had to test that this Blue Sky Citadel website is working with Klarna. When someone clicks on the option to pay with Klarna, is able to redirect them to Klarna. After they pay, Klarna will confirm and validate or verify that this person has paid with Klarna. They will send back an API call. They will send back a result to Blue Sky website to tell them that this person has paid successfully. Then the application will proceed with the registration. Or maybe that's when it will send you a welcome email, whatever. But we test to ensure that softwares work within each other. They can work. And this testing is implemented in two ways. All right. To be able to, from point one, to check the reliability of the software, to the last point, to check the software work with other software and hardware, this can be implemented in two ways, which is the manual testing and the tool testing, which is mainly known as automation testing. Manual testing is explanatory. It's manual. It's done manually. Man does it. It's done manually. You go on the application. You write your test cases in Azure. After you do that, you go to you open the application. You click login, enter username. You are doing it manually, but with a tool, you are doing it automatedly. You wouldn't have to do it repeatedly every day. You use code, or we call it programming language, to test this. You will be taught here, and you have this in your CI/CD pipelines, which before every deployment, your automation test will run against the code to validate that this is working as expected. This is doing this. This is doing that. All the reasons have listed below. So this is software testing. All right. So software testing falls, under software testing, we have functional testing. And I've mentioned this functional testing now. Right. So just as I was saying, this is the structure for software testing. So under software testing, we have the functional testing. And under functional testing, we have the manual testing and we have the automation testing. I mean, I've hit on this previously, so I'm not gonna functional testing is gonna be a whole topic on its own, but I'll just switch to the non-functional testing and just give an overview of it. So non-functional testing is basically like testing the performance. You have load testing, okay, this application is when, for instance, Amazon Amazon has got Prime Days, or there's Black Fridays when things are being reduced, So let's say we have 1,000, we have 100,000, we have 1 million users on this application. We have 1 million users on this application. Can the application, or can the software contain these people? Is it gonna crash? Is it gonna break? Can all these people stay on their website, stay on the application to buy whatever they want to buy? So you want to check the load, or you want to check the performance of this application during these times, So yep, that's non-functional testing. We do have tools we use for non-functional testing, which is something we're gonna go in later as well. But yeah, this is just an overview of it. So here's the structure of manual testing. Manual testing, you have the application, you have the tester, and you have the results. So you have the application that has been developed. You, the tester, you are here, and you have to provide the results of your test. All right. So it's just application, QA, software tester, QA engineer, then the results. Right. So this is how automation looks like. This is the structure for automation. So you have the application, and this application, you have the tester here. But how is this tester testing this application? Is the tester, he or she, is using a tool. What is this tool? We have different types of tools. We have Selenium, we have Character, we have different programming languages as well. we have C Sharp, we have Java, tester is basically testing with a tool. And when the tester tests with this tool will provide the results. Unlike the manual that the tester will have to provide the results because he's doing it manually and he will provide the results. All right. Though with automation, the tester will write his code, he will create his framework and all of that. It is that tool that will give the results. All right. So who does testing? All right. So testing can be done by other team members as well. But as you can see on the list, software tester is number one on the list because the software tester obviously is the software tester. He has to test the software. He has been employed to test this software. So you lead quality, you lead the QA processes. If anything goes wrong, if we deploy this application and there is a bug, if we deploy this application and it's not reliable, there is no quality, it doesn't meet requirements, you, the software tester, you will have to give answers. And that is why we said what? If you guys can remember earlier on, I said what? When you are testing, you have to do it efficiently. You have to do it effectively. You can't just assume. When it comes to testing, there's nothing like assumption. Never. Oh, when I click, okay, I can see username, I can see a password, I can see login. So definitely when the user log in, they will log in. Never do that. Nothing like assumption. Software developer can test. They usually do unit testing. So once they develop the application, for instance, they just develop a login and the username test field, they're just gonna test to ensure that this field accepts email. It's unit testing. Unit testing, you are testing the small components of the code, of their code. All right. Project or lead manager can also do testing. A project or lead manager can do UAT testing. All right. Because he is the project lead, he is the project manager. He has an understanding of their application. Or even sometimes with UAT, you don't need someone who has an understanding of the application. But the project manager in here in Blue Sky Citadel, sometimes you have the PO or the BAs who usually will do UAT testing. So a project lead, a project manager can do that. And you have the end user as well. In some UAT cases, they bring end users who would use the application. I quite remember in my organization when we had to switch to a new HR application, I did mention during the UAT, they had to bring end users from outside to come and test this application. They just tell them that, okay, you can do this, you can do it, do that. At the end, they tell them, were you able to do this? Were you able to do that? They give their feedback. So an end user can also do testing. But guys, just as the name of your role, software tester, quality assurance tester, you are the main point. You are the eye. If anything goes wrong, you'll see your teams ping, 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 ping. A meeting will be scheduled. If if there is a deployment and they start to find bugs, immediately the business will line up all the software testers in a meeting, the software manager, the software test manager, the lead. They will line you all up. You have to answer questions. What happened? So what's the primary goal of testing? So I think I've gone through some points that already had this in there, but the primary goals of testing is finding errors, ensuring that all functionalities are implemented, ensure that the software meets the customer requirements, and also ensure the quality of the product. Okay, guys, I can't emphasize enough on this one. Finding errors. That's your job. Your job is to find, and it's a tough one. Your job is to find errors. So a developer has developed an application, and yours is to go and find error. You have your eyes widely open. You are attentive, trying to tell someone that what they have done is not good. So sometimes as well, you have to be You have to be firm. You have to be solid in decision makings. You have to be, no, okay, we said this is what the application have to, and you don't have to be aggressive. No, at the end of the day, your developers will help you. All right. You don't have to be aggressive. You call let's say Rita or Harold is your we also have one of your mentors on call, Rita. Rita, thank you for joining. They are your developers, all right. So you develop something and you call her, oh, you just call her, oh, you raise a bug and you tag her, and she comes, she said, oh, this is how it's supposed to work. You're like, no, this is not what was defined in the requirement. Do you mind if we have a quick call? You know, I usually like to just jump on a call because I find it easy. You explain things, you are done. You get what I mean? So you have to be firm in your decision makings as well. This is something that just came up, yeah. But that's the primary goal of testing, you know. So the need for testing, the need for software testing. So this is like you have the product view of quality as specified. The product has been specified. This is how we want it. All right. So you have the producer view of the quality as delivered. You have the customer view of quality as wanted. So as a QA, you are here. You have the producer gap here. You have the customer gap here. You the QA, you have to ensure that all these all these gaps they like you secure these gaps. These like there's no errors, there's no defects between the producer gap and the customer gap. We are delivering this as expected. This is the need for testing. Quality is delivered. Quality is delivered. When you come to testing as well, there are some key challenges in software testing. All right. And I think we as humans, in every aspect of our lives, we do face some challenges, even in our day-to-day activities. And those challenges can be faced in software testing as well. All right. So this shouldn't scare you guys, to change your mind. Oh, okay. So there's challenges in software testing. So I'm gonna go to BA. I'm gonna go to Scrum Mastering. No, there they also have challenges they are facing. All right. So how do you tackle this? You tackle this by knowing the challenges and by knowing how to go about these challenges. All right. So one of the challenges, testing the complete application. Trust me, you can achieve 100% coverage of an application, but you can't test the complete application. It's impossible. It's impossible. You would test this application to ensure that it's meeting the required functionality, the requirement that was written. All right, when I log in, I can log in. I have to do this. I have to do this. All right. The key components, but because to fully complete, testing the complete application, there might be minor bugs, there might be cosmetic bugs, there might be bugs that might not affect the application. All right. Those ones are not bugs of high priority. Those ones are not even, sometimes they are not physical bugs. They are bugs in the code that you the tester, you cannot point that out. A bug that is affecting the functionality or breaking an application, that one you will definitely find it. It's a bug. The business will, even if you don't see it, the business will see it. It will be seen during UAT. But there are minor bugs in the code that sometimes they cannot be seen. All right. Relationship with developers. In the real world, QAs or software testers and developers are known. Most of us growing up, we know Tom and Jerry, the cartoons. You know how they were always going up and down. Tom is always following Jerry. Jerry is hitting Tom. They are doing this. But if you guys, I don't know if you guys know, Tom and Jerry, they are actually best friends. Same applies with developers. You guys will sometimes go back and forth. Tensions will rise during sprint planning. You might raise a bug. The developer will tell you this is not a bug. You will send it back. There are sometimes you might even have, a little bit of heat up, but regardless what, you keep it professional. But at the end of the day, you guys are best friends because if you are not there to test the application and the application goes to production with bugs, is the developer that will be blamed. So you are also there to cover the developer in a way. But we are humans. Things might come up. So some developers are very difficult to work with. So these are some of the challenges. These are some of the things you have to look out for. All right. Regression testing. So you have, as part of some of the type of testing, you have regression testing. So regression testing, guys, I know it's almost 11. We were supposed to end the class, but due to recording issues and all of that, we started a bit late. So we might go few minutes into it. All right. Just few minutes of your time, but I'll make it quickly. All right. So regression testing, every time there's a new feature has been added to an application, all right? Sometimes, or even after a bug fix, a new bug that can cause another bug, to come into the application. So we have something called regression testing that you need as a QA, you need to have a regression suite where you have all the features that are candidates for regression, features that are easy to break, features that are main priority on the application, like registration, login, payment, those ones, they always have to be working. So as a QA, you need to have a regression suite to always ensure that this functionalities on the application is working as expected. Because once there is, imagine Amazon on a Black Friday, you can't check out an item. Imagine the money they're gonna lose. So all these features, you have it in the regression testing, where immediately there is a code change, immediately there is bug fix. You run this your regression to ensure that everything is working as expected. All right. So testing always under time constraint. That is something as a tester you will go through. You will sometimes you are in a 2 week sprint. That is when shift left testing comes in, early testing. You are in a 2 week sprint. Developer has taken 1.5 weeks to develop the app. You only have 3 days, 2 days to test this. The whole team is waiting on you. So time constraint is something you guys will deal with a lot. Understanding the requirements. Sometimes understanding the requirement is a bit of an issue. One test team under multiple projects. You might be a test team and you might be working under multiple projects. You might be working for a HR project. You might be working for an e-commerce. Sometimes it will take a lot to take that in. Testers focusing on finding easy bugs. And also which test to execute first. Sometimes that can be a problem. You'll be wondering, which test do I have to execute first? Which one do I have to execute first? Lack of skilled testers. That's a challenge. Imagine you start you are not skilled enough. You don't have you don't know how to go about the tools. You are not skilled. It's a big thing. But luckily here in Blue Sky Citadel, we ensure that we equip you guys with all the skills you need, it being manual testing, it being automation testers. And when you go out there, they will know that, yes, we have testers in our organization. You guys will be assets. You guys will be without you, your presence will be felt when you are not around. That's how well we will equip you guys here. Miscommunication and no communication. No, you have to know that you'll be working with especially you might be working with people with different race, different nationality, people with different accents and all of that. So sometimes someone will say something you might not know. There's miscommunication. You will not understand. So as a QA, you have to ask questions. Like I mentioned, there's no assumption in software testing. If you don't understand something, ask. No question is stupid. It's better to ask than for a bug to be found in production and they will come and ask you questions, and now you'll be shitting yourself. Requirements are not freezed. So requirements can change at any time. Sometimes you might be working on a particular requirement or a feature, and requirements will change. Okay, we said we wanted email as the username, a user to be able to log in with email. Now we've changed it. We want to make it username. Okay, we were supposed to deploy, or we were supposed to work on cart page, checkout page, but now requirements have changed. We have to work on product, on products. There's always changing requirements. Sometimes it's a bit of an issue. And if also the application is not testable, and if there's lack of resource, it can also be very challenging. Now, this draws should I say draws, or it opens the curtains of role of a QA. What is my role in an agile team here in Blue Sky Citadel? What is my role? I'm very sure each and every one of you will know your role by now. Those of you who don't know, this is the role of a QA. So the QA team assures the quality by to monitor the whole development process, from start to finish, from verification to validation. All right. So responsibilities of a QA team are planning, testing, execution process. So you have to write your test case. You have to draft your test plan. The whole testing execution phase. You are planning it. The type of testing, the environment, test data. Sometimes, if it's a big development team, you have a QA lead who creates the timetable and agrees on the quality assurance plan for the plan for the assurance plan for the document. You have a lead who will put all these things in place. If you are the only one as well, you will have to do that. So the QA team they communicate QA process to the entire team. You are the quality assurance tester. So you have to define the quality assurance process to the whole team. If BA is bringing a requirement that is not quality, that is not meeting requirements, you tell the BA, this is not a quality process. This is not what we define. A QA team ensures, traceability of test cases to requirements. Just like I mentioned, your test cases, you are tracing it to the requirement. You need to write test cases. You write your test cases based on your requirements. So you have to ensure that the QA team will ensure the traceability of the test cases to the requirement. In what the difference role in software testing? This will come in handy when you start applying for jobs. So you have a quality assurance engineer, you have UAT tester, you have test analyst, you have manual tester, you have web tester, you have QA test analyst, you have functional tester, you have software test analyst, you have agile test analyst, you have QA automation engineer. There's a lot. All right. But sometimes you have a tester who is mainly a UAT tester. You will have someone who is also mainly a web. They only test soft application. You will have someone who is also only API. The person is only for API. API is application programming interface. Is also part of the software development processes of the software development lifecycle. We will get there. You guys who want us, we will have a look at that. Now, principles of testing. So some of us do have our principles in this life. That's the same way software has got principles as well. And what are these principles of software testing? Testing shows presence of defects. Testing can show that defects are present, but cannot prove that there are no defects. I hope you guys are getting it. Testing shows presence of defects, because you only find defects when you test. But if you haven't tested, you cannot prove that there are no defects. So one of the principles of testing is that testing shows the presence of defect. Even after testing the application or product thoroughly, we cannot say that the product is 100% defect-free. I did mention this earlier, guys. Testing that I said what? Testing the complete application. And it has repeated itself here. Even after testing the application or product thoroughly means details. You enter every aspect of the application. Even with that, we cannot say the product is 100% defect-free. So testing always reduces the number of undiscovered defects remaining in the software. But even if no defects are found, it is of no proof of correctness. Exhaustive testing is impossible. So testing everything, including all combinations of inputs and preconditions, is not possible. All right. So instead of doing the exhaustive testing, we can use risks and priorities to focus testing efforts. As a QA, you have to be very efficient. Okay. You have to be very effective. All right. I'll give you there's an example here. Okay, so let's go with this example. So, for example, if an application in if an application in one screen, okay, if they like an application in one screen, there are 15 input fields. Okay, you have 15 input fields in one screen application. So each of these fields having 5 possible values. Okay. So to test all the valid combination, you will need, you will need 500 and what? 15 tests to do this. All right. But you can do this by, doing boundary. We have something called boundary value analysis. You can use boundary value analysis. Maybe this example might be too much for you guys, but let me take it to something you guys can understand more. You have to, let's say, you have to test that a form, you have a form page which accepts phone number, all right, and it has to accept 10 10 digits number, all right. So now you are testing. Your first test case is to check if this field accept one number, if it accept two number, if it accept three number, if it accept four number, if it accept five numbers, if it accept 6, 7, 8, 9. Imagine the time you waste doing that. But there is something called boundary value analysis where you can just test, okay, does it accept anything less than 9? Does it accept 10 numbers? Does it accept 11 numbers? You are done. You've written just 3 test cases, but these 3 test cases have saved you from writing about 13 or 15 test cases. So exhaustive testing is impossible. Early testing. I can't emphasize enough on this. Sometimes some testers would sit and wait until an application is being developed before they start testing. That's not the best practice. In software testing, one of the principles is early testing. And this early testing is done verification. Once at the verification stage, once requirements have been written down, testing have started. So in software development lifecycle, testing activity should start as early as possible and should be focused on defined objectives. So this early testing is focused on defined objectives. What are the defined objectives here? Requirements that has been produced by the BAs. Define objectives. These are the objectives that has been defined. So early testing is focused on that. Another principle is defect clustering or clustering. a small number of models, contains most of the defects discovered during pre-release testing or shows the most operational failures. We also have a pesticide paradox. In this case, if the same kind of tests are repeated again and again, eventually the same set of test cases will no longer be able to find any new bugs. So to overcome this pesticide paradox, it is really very important to review the test cases regularly, and add new different test cases that has to be added to your test cases you have, to find potential new bugs. Imagine you have a test case that always will validate login, will always validate login, successful login. Every day, if you run that same test case, you only verify login. But imagine you add new test case, maybe you change the password. Okay, they said this password accept 10 numbers, characters, blah blah blah. You add a twist of it. Okay, what if I remove the special character? Is it going to work? What if I add numbers? Is it going to work? As a QA, you always have to think of different edge cases. Think of different edge cases. Okay, so testing is context dependent. So testing is basically context dependent. All right. Different kind of sites are tested differently. For example, safety critical software is tested differently from an e-commerce site. All right. And a healthcare application is tested differently from e-commerce website. E-commerce website, you are testing how to purchase a product, put it in the cart for it to be delivered. But with the healthcare, whatever you have to do, even with the e-learning platform as well, is different. So all applications are tested differently. Okay. Absence of error is fallacy. So if the system built is unstable and does not fulfill the user's needs and expectation, then finding and fixing defects does not help. Let's say we have an application where, for instance, Blue Sky Citadel, where you have to come and sign on for the program. Then now you come on the website and you find food. You find food being sold on the website, or you find something different. You don't have to even bother yourself. Imagine you click on software testing and it will direct you to a page where you can you can order for food. Do you have to test an application like that? You don't have to waste your time to test it. You have to quickly go back. This is not what we define. So absence of error, fallacy. Software has got software development life cycle. This is the next tutor who will take you on this will take you on software development life cycle. All right. So this is just an overview of it. Software has got its principles. It has also got a life cycle. So from requirement collection, from system analysis, the requirement analysis, to design. When it's being designed and the coding will come in, then testing will come in, and implementation and maintenance from the support team, or sometimes even the QA. So this is just an overview of software development lifecycle. In the next class, we will dive deeper into this. Thank you all. I've gone in a bit of time. I know our time is very precious, but this was due to, what we encountered at the start of the
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
How do I get this?